Hey guys, what's going on? This is your boy RJ Game News USA here, back today with another video. And today we're going to be looking at Hokum, the Rotten Tomato scores for it. We're going to look over the reviews and see what they're saying. So if you like this kind of content, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And let's jump right into it, shall we? So first, let me explain. Hokum is a movie I barely even knew about or heard about until literally this week. And then I heard it debuted with a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now it has since dropped to a 90%. Now look, I'm actually recording this on Wednesday, full disclosure. This video won't come out until, probably Sunday. Just the way my schedule's laid out, I need to pump out pre-recorded videos because I'll be busy this weekend. But that's neither here nor there. I do plan on seeing this movie if I can. I'm really having a hard time finding it in one of my local theaters, though. But I do want to see this movie. It possibly could be a top 10 movie of the year when it's all said and done. I'm excited to see it. Adam Scott's the lead. And that's the guy that you might remember him as the douche asshole stepbrother in the movie Step Brothers. Or you might remember him as the main character in Severance, the Apple TV show, which is where I've recently watched more of his work. And so when I saw that, I was excited. That plus the review scores. Now, full disclosure, I've been really pissed off at the reviewers lately. They reviewed the Mario movie bad. They reviewed the Michael Jackson movie bad. And then the audience score came out, and the audience score was awesome for both. So, like I said, take it with a grain of salt. But I kind of want to see what they say about it. And if I have any, crazy thoughts about Hokum after I see it, I'll do a follow-up video. But anyway, let's jump right into it. So we have Tara Brandy with a fresh tomato saying this is not horror guised up as an allegory or prestige. It is pleasingly a straight ghost story, executed with rigor, a swipe at misogyny, whatever, and a sly sense of fun. Alistair Hankness with a fresh tomato says McCarthy's willingness to marry outro elements involving Irish folklore and magic mushrooms works in strategically effective way. Like a dream that doesn't quite make sense, but rattles you all the same. I'm down for a movie like Midsummer where shit's just weird. Just give me shit that's weird, right? I'm down for that kind of movie. Nick Johnson with a fresh tomato says Hokum is decently scary, but it's less a Tower of Terror drop and more of a compelling yarn. Complemented by some genuinely frightening set pieces and loot and bust screeches. Then we have a fresh tomato from Simon Crook, who says if Hokum feels a little unresolved when it works, it's quite an experience. Like the best ghost stories, you'll stagger from the cinema with your goosebumps piped and an icy finger dragging down your spine. Then we have Barry Hertz with a rotten tomato saying Damian McCarthy's new horror film arrives ready to play with convention and expectation. The scary thing, though, is that the movie exhausts itself halfway through, revealing Hokum has something closer to hogwash. Okay, so something happens halfway through that caused Barry Hertz to give it a rotten tomato. That's slightly concerning. Everything else seems good so far. Carlos Aguilera, with a fresh tomato, says, buoyed by Scott's level-headed turn, Hokum is a proficient horror exploit, which hinges on atmosphere instead of gore. I like that better. Even if its many frightening threads feel disjointed, like rooms in distinctly different hotels. Again, I don't mind disjointed and goofy and weird and crazy, but them saying atmosphere over gore, I'm down for that too. I am more of an atmosphere over gore kind of person when it comes to my horror movie. Laura Crawford with the fresh tomato says McCarthy and his cinematographer Colm Hogan used the hotel spaces for maximum effect. Gives his film such a satisfying rap, he leaves you wondering if Bauman was right in the first place. Then we have Nicholas Delgadio with a fresh tomato, saying undeniably compelling in moments, but also a bit fragmented and at times emotionally distant. I'm not sure what they mean by that exactly. Amelia Harvey with a fresh tomato says Hokum isn't doing anything extraordinary here, but it's effective folk horror. It's eerie and creepy, relying on camera trickery and the soundtrack to get under your skin. So yeah, there's a lot of like folklore horror movies that are good. You know, like good, not great, but good. This could be one of those. I'm just surprised it didn't get as much pomp and circumstance. You know, especially coming out May 1st. What else is going on in the movies? I mean, you know, it should have got a little more prestige. Because if it doesn't play at my local cinema that plays 6 movies, it doesn't make the cut in the top 6. That usually sucks. That's usually a problem. Maxine Vincent with a Rotten Tomato says, thank God for Adam Scott's sole presence heightens ho-hum mechanics into a watchable folk horror film, even if the overall result disappoints. And that's only the second Rotten Tomato we've seen so far. We're only reading the first page, though. There's like 71 total reviews so far, as of the time of this recording. Jack Martin with a fresh tomato. It may not necessarily do anything that rewrites the rulebook, and in some parts features its own brand of hokum, but it is an effectively executed tale of spiritual scares that may just get under your skin. Then we have Robert Koger with a fresh tomato saying the direction is strikingly confident, propulsively eerie, and certainly makes entertaining use of the numerous ingredients. Hokum is fiendishly fun. Sorry, sometimes I read like shit. Luca Meta with a fresh tomato says Hokum is yet another horror movie about childhood trauma and guilt, but it avoids the pitfalls of other films thanks to its genuinely emotional story. Yeah, there's I know a lot of like movie reviewers, like horror movie reviewers, are tired of trauma being a central theme, but I understand why it is. You know, why in this day and age trauma seems to be the theme, because trauma seems to be dominating most people's lives in our, you know, society, and it's hard, you know, people have a hard time through their traumas, and trauma tends to horrify people the most in this decade with this generation, it seems. You know, like in the 70s and 80s, it was more, hey, the stranger just coming at you with a knife. Now it's all about trauma, and I get how it's got its own pitfalls and its own, what do you call it? Its own tropes. You know what I mean? All right, so then we have Carla Hay with a fresh tomato saying Hokum is an effective blend of folklore horror, manifestations of traumatic grief, and a mystery about missing people at an Irish hotel. The movie is an intertwined story about an American author confronting his own demons while visiting the hotel. I love that story, actually. I love the premise and the setting. I being Irish myself, descendancy-wise, I'm excited to see some Irish folklore in a horror movie. And like I said, I'm super excited that Adam Scott is the lead. I really am. Then we have Catherine McLaughlin with a fresh tomato saying McCarthy guides the audience through disturbing human tragedy and alarming decisions in a suspenseful, mysterious, and stirring supernatural horror. Love that review. That review makes me want to go see the movie more than any other review so far. Stephen Porzio with a fresh tomato says properly hair-raisingly scary, a new classic in terms of Irish horror thrillers. Then we have Billy Walker with a Rotten Tomato saying despite the heavy metaphors and emotionally weighted hauntings, there's nothing new here. It's all painfully dull and familiar horror territory. This, to me, sounds like a review that's done by a guy that's done 100 reviews, where he's seen and done it all and can't judge a movie based on its own merits, but instead just throws his hands down and said, I've seen something similar. I'm over this. That annoys me. I see it with game reviews, too. Some people just can't separate the job from the actual critique of the particular product. Sad. Bob Struess with a fresh tomato saying it's frightening how Hokum moves from murder mystery to supernatural shenanigans and then to psychological horror with such confidence. It's exhilarating as well. That review definitely makes me want to see this. I like mysteries. I like psychological horrors. I like supernatural shenanigans. Love it. Then we have G. Balling saying, with a fresh tomato, Hokum works because it's not just one thing. It's a haunted hotel movie, a mystery, and a folklore horror, while also not being tied to a variation of those familiar elements by adding well-grounded characters that work, that tackle something profoundly human. Like it. Like that. Kristen Lopez, with the last review we're going to read, with a fresh tomato, saying Hokum is a very effective throwback to haunted house stories of old. Scott and the small cast are solid, though. It's the sound mix and production design that really unnerve. So yeah, a few people mentioned that already about the sound design and whatnot. Undertone was all about the sound design, and then we watched the movie, and it really didn't have a great plot and a great story and a great ending. So glad that this movie can just have good audio, but it not be the focal point. The focal point's actually the story and the characters. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm excited to see Hokum. I'm going to figure out what theater I could go see this in. I'm going to figure out when I can see this thing because I'm just so freaking busy. This is a horrible weekend for a good movie to come out. But I got to get it out of the way and watch it somewhere. Because Mortal Kombat 2 does come out next week. And we gotta cover that as well. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching this video. Are you going to see Hokum? Let me know in the comments below. But until next time, this is RJ signing out. I'll see you later.